Now, if you've seen my last video, we have just finished reviewing the Meze 109 Pros, and like I mentioned before, where I wanted to compare them to the 99 Classics. If you've been in the audio space, then you know what these are. These have been around for quite a while, often found on sale for less than the price that they're usually set at, which is 200 bucks. You can find them for 150 sometimes. Very well lauded. I mean, look at this. This is a very well-known set of headphones. It's been very well reviewed, so I don't want to go too deep into, like, the looks and content, but I guess I should at least open and take a look at them, right? Now, inside the box, we're going to get paperwork, of course, some stickers, and snacks. And now, of course, the goods. Now, just like the 109 Pros, we get a hard shell case which unzips to have our headphones and a bag of accessories. So we have an airplane adapter, a 1/4-inch adapter, you have your long cable as well as a short cable. So you have choices depending on like your current situation. But, there's a lot of videos on that, so we're just going to take a look at the headphones right now. So, now the Meze 99 Classics have been reviewed quite a lot, so you've probably already seen that they are built very well. Got the metal band system here, the suspension band for adjustment, nice metal hardware holding it down, wooden ear cups which are real nice, and pretty nice pads. These are nice and soft and feel quite deep enough, and if we hold them side by side to the 109 Pros, you can see there are slight differences here and there, and this one does feel more premium, but this doesn't make this feel any less premium. They both feel premium, it's just that the 109 Pros feel extra premium in comparison to the 99 Classics, but either of them feel real nice. But I will say the 99 Classics do feel a little lighter. Comfort-wise, I think it's okay because they're fairly light on the head. Clamping force is just, decent, feels relatively secure. Also probably because it's light, so there's less weight to swing around when you're moving your head around if you're gonna be doing that for some reason. I don't think they're as comfortable as a more expensive brother, though I will say with the 109 Pros, I felt a need to kind of stretch the band a little bit to make it feel more comfortable because the 109 Pros had a much stronger clamping force that could pinch someone on the jaw. Even one of my viewers actually got them and returned them because it pinched their jaw a little bit too hard. When it comes to the 99 Classics out of the box, I didn't feel that same pressure. With the 109 Pros, like I mentioned, I did feel more of that pressure, but once with a little bit of stretching, that pressure just kind of went away. But out of the box, I think they feel pretty good. Now, as for looks, this is how they kind of look. Kind of classy, not as crazy as the 109 Pros. Pretty cool, I guess, if you're going to be wearing them outside. And they're more okay to be wearing outside. In fact, they're also meant to be worn, I guess, anywhere, because the cable also has a little microphone built in right here. And of course, being designed to be taken around with you with this microphone, this is how the microphone's going to sound in case you're going to be using it for calls and whatnot on your laptop or I guess phone or something like that. So yeah, if you got a combo jack for a headset where it's one port for mic and headphones, then you can use this cable essentially, and this is what your mic is essentially going to sound like. It's not great, I'll be totally honest, but it's what you're gonna get. Now, as far as the sound of the 99 Classics is concerned, it's exactly what I expected because these have been around for a while, so tons of reviews have been out there, and it's got a warmer sound signature, so more boost in the lows and the highs. But I do think there's also a bit of a bump in the mids here. It's just more in the bass and highs for this kind of guy. So low end is really good. You got a nice feel in there, so there's more boost there. There's more thump. There's more rumble. Mids have a slight forward push because there's still a good decent amount of presence, but it becomes a little bit more present as we move up a little bit. The highs have a good reach. It's a slight bump, but it doesn't go too crazy out there. So it seems to be more of a mid to low focus sound when it comes to these guys, which is in complete contrast to the 109 Pros, which are more mid and upper mids and high focused. So there is that. And as you can imagine, I like the sound of the 99 Classics more for music. It's because the 109 Pros just tended to get spicy for me for some sounds in songs, and especially if there's a lot of highs. If a song didn't have too many highs going on, it was just not as spicy, then sometimes I leaned more towards the 109 Pros than the 99 Classics. But if I wanted more of that bass feel, you'd have to get the 99 Classics because the bass feel is not nearly as good on the 109 Pro. So there's that for music. But this is more of a gaming focused channel, so let's talk about that now. Granted, first I guess I should tackle the soundstage and whatnot, because as you can imagine, this is closed back, so the 99 Classics have a much smaller soundstage comparative to their much more expensive older brother, the I guess not older brother, but younger brother, more expensive sibling, basically. So what I'm trying to say is the 99 Classics don't have nearly as large of a soundstage as the 109 Pros, and this is obvious because the 109 Pros are open back, and the soundstage is enormous on these guys, giving a lot of air and sound separation. It is great, handles that very well. But this isn't to say that the 99 Classics didn't do a good job at that. It did. It's still a pretty okay job at it, I'd say. The soundstage is average sizing for a closed back set of headphones at this price range. Sound separation is still present. It's there. It's okay. It just doesn't have that same amount of airiness and space in between all the sounds compared to the 109 Pros, which are, of course, that makes sense with the open back design. These are closed back, so That's sensible. But still, I would still say I can still separate sounds okay, just not as well. But for the closed back headphone, I think it does a good job. Now, precision-wise, I think they're precise enough. They're not the most pinpoint things in the world, but they still do a pretty good job, especially when it comes to tracking enemies and footsteps and whatnot in games. Like, yeah, they're not quite as good in, like, their precision when it comes to, like, the 109 Pros, but I still think they're good enough to, like, get you by, and you will be able to track enemies pretty okay. Now, with the sound signature added into this effect, I would say it is also just okay. It's not the best thing in the world, but I will say because of a smaller soundstage, you will get that competitive edge where you'll hear enemies closer if they're farther away. Whereas, you know, if you play on the 109 Pros, which have a more larger soundstage, if enemies are far, they're going to sound far, which means it's going to sound quiet, so you lose that competitive edge. But on the bright side, when they're in range of your sound, you can hear them a little bit easier. Due to the spicy sound signature, sometimes you'll actually still be able to hear them a little sooner and track them more accurately. Whereas on this one, you'll just always have that competitive edge of hearing things a little sooner, but not necessarily always have like that upper end to kind of give you that slight edge for like accurate tracking. But because it tracks well enough, I still think that you will do just as well on either or. I guess it really depends on the sound engineering of the game at this point, but if I were to hop on a bunch of different competitive games, I think my results would be generally pretty similar to each other, and my experiences for tracking would be pretty similar to each other at this point. So, you know, for competitive games, I think they do okay in their own right. It's just, you know, what are you kind of looking for, and what are you trying to listen for your, like, kind of, like, tracking style, I guess. Though, I will say, if you are playing these competitive games to be more immersive, to have kind of, like, more of a fun time, less of a sweaty time to play, because, like, games like, you know, like Tarkov, I just like to immerse myself. I like the 109 Pros a lot more, because it just kind of felt more natural. It felt more, I guess, immersive in that realistic sense, because that's what that game tries to portray, and there still is a degree of energy and excitement you get out of these, though in games where there are more emphasis on the, like, the low end for that excitement, I would prefer the 99 Classics, and that leads us into, like, less competitive games, where I generally prefer the 99 Classic a lot more because of the sound profile having more low end, giving more weight and oomph to the sound. So while the soundstage is like, you know, smaller than the 109 Pros, I still think it did a great job giving me a sense of size because of the way the bass is tuned to give me that weight, to kind of pull me in, to give me that energy at that low end for that immersion. And strangely enough, this doesn't necessarily mean that I like the 99 Classics more for those kind of games, because like I mentioned before in my review for the 109 Pros, I felt that these are also very immersive, but in that same review, I did mention I wish there was more of that low end to give me more weight in the sound, and that's what the 99 Classics have been able to do. Though, you know, I did like the size of the 109 Pros a lot more for that immersive sound. So it's kind of give or take, because they kind of present sounds in their own kind of way, and present energy in their own sort of way. And I can't necessarily pick one over the other, because one of them I liked more for some games, one I like the other for other games. With that immersive feel and sound I got from those non-competitive, more open world kind of games, I felt like there was more energy coming out of like the 99 Classics because of the weight in the sound. There was a certain pull you got when you got to like immerse in the sound, whereas with the 109 Pros, the pull into the game was not quite as strong in terms of like, you know, like really grabbing your attention, but I will say it gave a more natural approach to that immersion. So it's not necessarily better or worse. It's just one is more exciting, I guess, from the get-go, and one can be exciting, but is more, I guess, naturally realistic for what it's trying to show you, I suppose. Still, there is a great overall arching picture of price, where I did mention I can't really recommend the 109 Pros because they're so damn expensive for your regular person, but with the 99 Classics and even the Noir and the similar siblings it has, it sits at $200 and often can be found on sale for less. So, considering that, I would more likely recommend these to more people because the sound profile is tuned in a way that I think more people would enjoy for music, but still does pretty good for games. But with the 109 Pros, it's definitely more of an acquired taste. You have to like the tonality and tuning of it, and it's definitely more of a tuning that leans towards a more audiophile kind of people. And while I personally think at the end of the day that I would prefer the 109 Pros for gaming over the 99 Classics when it really comes down to like actually playing games for long term, if I were to pick one forever, I don't think I can recommend it unless you're like, you know, an audiophile. And even then, if I were to get this for like gaming, I would have another set for music because I don't like them for music. for most people out there, I am more able to recommend the 99 Classics for gaming and music because it does both really well. Not excellently, but still pretty good for either or. I think you'd be happy with them and do adequately if you're going to be playing competitive and non-competitive stuff. Granted, non-competitive has less of like a need for things to be like good at the game when it comes to sound. Those are more for immersion, but for competitive stuff where like you really need to have like advantages here and there wherever you can take them, I think the 99 Classics will give you some degree of advantage. But I still think if you're looking for those advantages, you'd probably be looking more towards, you know, IEMs at that point. But of course, I know IEMs aren't for everyone because it hurts your ears a bit, in which case you want headphones, and I think these could be a decent pick. Granted, it is a very crowded market at the $150 to $200 market, so at this point, while I do think they would do a good job, I can't recommend it over many other things because it really comes down to your preference and sound profile at that point. But just know that if you're looking for a set of headphones, and that this will be a pretty solid choice in like that price bracket that you'd be looking through. So if you like the sound profile that it provides and the sound experience you're going to get out of it over all the other ones, then this is definitely a good pick. And as you can imagine, if you hate the sound profile, no matter how worth it I can say this is, it won't be any good for you, because if you hate a sound profile, you just hate how something sounds, it's not going to work out no matter how worth it anyone says something is. So just know what sound profile you like at this point. And yeah, also know what kind of experience and what type of games you play too, if you're going to be using for gaming, as I mentioned before. But overall, if you're going to be using for just for everyday whatever kind of stuff, like I said, solid pick, unless you don't like the sound profile. So that's it. That's all I got today. So if you want to purchase this, I'll leave a link in the description. It's a affiliate link. I get a slight kickback if you purchase in there, and it keeps me alive a little bit longer. I'll even leave a link for this guy, because why not? I know some of you guys out there are audiophiles, or just crazy people who want to try audiophile things, and maybe you end up keeping it. That happens sometimes. But I digress. That's all I got for today. So, yeah. Know what you like. I can't always tell you if you should get things or not. I'm not a marketing person. I just tell you as it is. These things aren't meant for everyone. They're meant for some people, just like everything else is, honestly. So, that's all I got today. See you guys later.